Good morning. We're not Julie, but we're going to do a little community singing. And the first one is around. It's
188. You want to follow along? Anybody hear this? No? Hello? Hello?
Did you turn it on?
Hello. Good morning. 188.
It's not on yet. Is the button on the bottom?
Mine's on. So.
They've got 2 and 3.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello. It's on now? Oh,
Yep,
yes, it is.
There you go.
Awesome.
Do we have an E? E flat? So we'll sing the first round all together. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Now let's do it as a round. We'll go first on this side. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. We beat ya. How did that happen? And our other song is from our other book, and it's number 1018. We probably need to wait for Bill because we need help on this one.
And you wanted me to play an intro? Okay.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. Freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. Justice. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln. My name is John Atkinson. I'm a worship associate of this church. Over the last few years, the way we have met has often changed, but whether in person on Zoom or a YouTube live stream, or some way of being that we cannot yet imagine, worshiping together is a chance to deepen our connection with the sources of meaning in our lives and to proclaim who we are and what we are about, throwing open the doors of our congregation and proclaiming the radical love and welcome that is at the heart of our faith.
So, opening music?
Yeah, we've kind of reversed things because they,
Yeah, we did.
singers,
We'll figure it out.
yeah, it's okay. We'll find it.
You go first, Charlie.
Oh.
We're nothing if not innovators
Yep.
and improvisational, but not improv, right?
Right. This is all done very carefully.
See how many pages of script we got? You know, I mean, wow. All right,
You can sit.
thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. Ring the bell.
Music followed by more music. Now we'll sing our first congregational song, Gathered Here, number 389. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Now around, this side starts. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the struggles from the body, gathered Spirit, draw near.
We light this chalice, our symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We are a church of open minds. We are a church of loving hearts. We are a church of helping hands. Together we care for our earth and work for justice and peace in our world. Kids, you can come with me.
Emma and Jack, would you come up so I'm not lonely? Please. Hi, Stephen. Okay. You do you, Jack. Hi, I'm Jean Helms. I'm the admin director at this church, and I'm going to do the Time for All Ages today. And please advance to the next slide. So, friends of all ages, raise your hand if you've ever heard of Leo Leone. One more slide, please. Do any of you recognize any of the books on this screen? Have you read any of these books at home? Good. Which one do you recognize? The one with the fish? Okay. Well, the book I'm going to read today was published in 1968. It's called The Alphabet Tree, and it was published when I was 3 years old. This was during the Vietnam War and 1 year before Richard Nixon was elected president, for some context. The Alphabet Tree by Leo Leone. This is the alphabet tree, said the ant. Why is it called the alphabet tree? Asked his friend.
That's called personification.
Jack said that's called personification, if you didn't hear him. Because not so long ago, this tree was full of letters. They lived a happy life, hopping from leaf to leaf on the highest twig. Each leaf has a letter, and each letter had its favorite leaf, where it would sit in the sun and rock in the gentle breeze of spring. One day, the breeze became a strong gust, and the gust became a gale. The letters clung to the leaves with all their might, but some were blown away, and others were frightened. One more. When the storm had passed, they huddled together in fear, deep in the foliage of the lower branches.
So that thing says,
Yes, it does. It makes no sense, does it? A funny bug, red and black with bright yellow wings, saw them there hiding in the shade. We're hiding from the wind, the letters explained, but who are you? I am the word bug. The bug answered, I can teach you to make words if you get together in 3s and 4s, and even more, no wind will be strong enough to blow you away. Patiently, he taught the letters to join together and make words. Do any of you see words that you recognize yet?
me and
Cat?
like to play with me.
Does anybody see the word bug? Yeah.
I see.
Some made short and easy words like dog and cat. Others learned to make more difficult ones, twig, leaf, and even earth. Happily, they climbed back onto the highest leaves, and when the wind came, they held on without fear. The word bug had been right. You're good, right where you are. Then, one summer morning, a strange caterpillar appeared amid the foliage. He was purple, woolly, and very large.
Wait, that reminds me of my
Such confusion, said the caterpillar when he saw the words scattered around the leaves. Why don't you get together and make sentences? The letters had never thought of this. Now they could really write and say things. They said things about the wind and the leaves and the bug. Good, said the caterpillar, but not good enough. Why? Asked the letters, surprised. Because you must say something important, said the caterpillar. He was very demanding.
If only it said your mom and dad are lovely.
Great, said the caterpillar. Now climb on my back. One by one, the letters climbed onto the woolly back. But where are you taking us? They asked anxiously as the caterpillar began climbing down the tree. One more. We're taking them to the president. And I want to tell you what the words said. Go back a couple, actually. Sorry, one more back. The letters tried to think of something important, really important. Finally, they knew what to say. And what could be more important than peace? So they wrote, peace on earth and goodwill toward all men. And then they decided they would deliver it to the president. And by the way, this book was released during the Vietnam War. So there's a lot of parallels between what happened in late 1960s and what's happening now. So we thought it would be appropriate for this service. Jack, do you want to tell us about your caterpillar really quick?
The caterpillar my mom found, and then
Come here.
she let it be hold it, and then it liked me.
He said he made friends with a caterpillar, and he wanted us to know that. And now if the children would like to go back to their classrooms
It was a fuzzy one.
with Miss Abby.
And we'll sing them out. See you later, alligator, after a while, crocodile. We send you off with love and a smile. Thank you for the lessons that we freely share, from the way you play to the way you care. Later, alligator, after a while, crocodile. We send you off with love and a smile. Thank you for the lessons that you freely share, from the way you play to the way you care.
Thank you, Gene, for that unplanned segue. I'm here to give you a couple of moments of testimony, which means something a little different for us than it did in the old country fundamentalistic churches I grew up in. I promise not to be that lively. You know, it is interesting to be one of those people who can say, I remember 50 years ago, which is what Gene just did, when we had a Democratic president who involved us in a bloody, bloody war far away, and a Republican president got elected on the promise of being a peacemaker. And none of them was worth a hoot. But here we are. And you were there then. I remember as I got to the end of high school and was looking down the barrel of the draft. We had an anti-war committee in high school, and we were all about leafleting and talking to people, and we had the good news that the football coach who had previously organized his former football players to get baseball bats and beat up peace protesters instead was joining the peace marches, but just because he was tired of seeing his boys come home in body bags. The UUs were there. Our committee, the leaflets we made, were printed on paper donated by the Arlington Unitarian Church. A couple of our members were kind enough to invite me to LRY. People remember LRY, Liberal Religious Youth, back in the day? It was all strange to me. It was a little different than what I was used to. At the same time, other UUs that I didn't even realize were UUs played an important part at the location where Dr. King came out and said, we cannot just mind what goes on in our midst. We cannot stay silent when our government is the greatest purveyor of death in the world. I would echo those words today. Other meetings for civil rights, women's liberation. I went across the river in Washington, D.C., in the basement of All Souls Unitarian. Again, I had no idea what I was walking into, but I think some of it must have stuck. Having grown up a preacher's kid, I was tired of it, and I spent a long time staying the heck away from church. But for my 40th birthday, I made a different choice because I had been in charge of organizing the buses for a women's march, a pro-choice march in Washington, D.C. And one of our activists there, wonderful older couple, they'd actually been members of the anti-Nazi resistance in the Netherlands in World War II. And for all I know, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, from which we take our chalice, may have assisted them or been part of that. This wonderful woman, Margaret Hoos, left her shoes on the bus, so I called her up and made arrangements to meet her at her church the next Sunday so I could return her shoes. Guess what kind of church that was? Actually, they were a fellowship. They were meeting in a school. Being much younger and more naive, I allowed myself to be put on the board and then participated in that fellowship, and then the Unitarian Fellowship of Westchester, Pennsylvania, nearby. And life goes on, but always what was present for me was those values that I learned were only concrete, only real in action, only really in existence as people lived them out. So, as I said, for my 40th birthday, I decided there was a spiritual dimension to life that I really had not been attending to. I had not been open to. I had not been open to even a little bit as a result of my upbringing. And I sat down and I read the principles, which is a summary of exactly what we profess. Now, we are a non-creedal religion, and that took me a minute to get my head around. You know, growing up reading the Nicene Creed and the Apostles' Creed and so forth. But they are very, very important, these principles. And they're important to me because they're really, you know, I took them seriously. I thought we actually did this stuff. And I saw some evidence of that. So I'd like to share that with you in that context. Over these last 50-odd years, it's what brings me back. Not just the fellowship, although it's wonderful. Not just the intellectual engagement, which is essential to any Unitarian Universalist group that I've ever been part of. But the commitment to the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The commitment to justice, equity, and compassion in human affairs. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to the spiritual growth of our congregations. A free and responsible search for meaning. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And this was the closer, the clincher, the thing that brought me home. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. So, with that, I'll say thank you and give it to Charlie, who is pointing at
Music. Devon.
Good morning. I'm Charlie Ahern, the worship leader today. I'm the amateur in the group. And I apologize if things seem a little disconnected at times. We're working with a new order of service, trying to figure out what goes before what, and so we're working on it. Please join me in responsive reading 468, and hopefully it's up on the screen. I will read the words in regular print, and you will read the words in italics. We Need One Another by George E. Odell. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when with encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die, and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us. So now we'll take 30 seconds of silence. I threatened to actually have a 1 minute of silence, and that didn't go over well, I think. I think that would make people a little too nervous. So, 30 seconds of silence. Thank you. And now, Erica and Shelley.
We'll stay seated for this. There is more love
Our theme this month has been homecoming. At the last Worship Associates meeting, when we checked in, we were asked to describe where we considered home. I said that wherever I sleep is my home. If I feel safe and comfortable, then that's home. I try to make wherever I am my home. My answer reflected the fact that when people ask where I'm from, I answer Massachusetts, Minnesota, California, Iowa, and Nebraska. I grew up and went to school in universities in Massachusetts, got my first grown-up job in Bloomington, Minnesota. Then, with a new son, my wife and I moved to Northern California. To be with my wife's family, we then moved to Des Moines and then Lincoln. But the theme of homecoming to me implies a return. Where would I go when I come home? When we were planning our move to Lincoln, one of the first things that I looked for was a Unitarian Universalist congregation. I wanted to join a UU congregation so that I would find a welcoming community, my new home. I had been a member of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Sunnyvale, California, and the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. I knew that I would feel safe and comfortable with the UU congregation in Lincoln. I would be coming home. But I wasn't looking for a place, a building with a parking lot. I was looking for a community of people. I wanted to be among people who would help me feel welcome, safe, and comfortable. Now, as I began thinking about this service, I thought that what I really wanted to talk about was not coming home, but joining a community. We often talk about being a member of this community or that, but I really wanted to understand what the word community meant. Sometimes a word seems meaningful and important, but I have to check to make sure that I have a specific idea what I'm talking about. So I looked up the word community to make sure I was talking about something specific. Now, the dictionary had 3 definitions for community: a group of people living in the same locality and under the same government. So to me, that would simply identify Lincoln, Nebraska as my community, the same locality, the same government. Or it could be a district or locality in which a group lives. So rather than focusing on the definition of the people or the form of government, this definition seems to simply focus on a geographic area described by boundaries. But the third definition is what caught my attention. A community is a group of people having common interests. And as I thought about our common interests, I thought about the UU principles that John read. But what common interests do we have at the Unitarian Church of Lincoln? So I'd like to go through the principles with you. I believe that most of us are familiar with the principles, but I think it's time we had a refresher. And as I discuss the principles, I'd like you to think about how each principle describes the community of common interests here at the Unitarian Church and think about how those common interests align with your personal interests. I do have a caution for you. As I discuss each principle, you may notice some dissonance between the principle and our current social and political situation. Part of my intention today is to remind you of to think of our principles as aspirations. Now, in this age of active and casual cruelty and cynicism, some of these principles may seem hopelessly out of date. But I'd ask you to please think of them as moral guides, not descriptions of current reality. First principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. In a time when masked gunmen roam the streets, snatching poor people off the street to send them to foreign prisons, we see violations of the worth and dignity of the poor by the wealthy. But notice in the first principle, it says the inherent worth of every person. There are no qualifiers or conditions. Every person has the inherent worth and dignity. And need to be treated with respect and dignity. As our government attempts to divide people into us versus them and terrorizes them, today this principle may be the most important and at-risk principle. Second principle, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And it seems to me that this principle seems to be under direct attack today in the United States. Justice, equity, and compassion are often smeared as weak and un-American. Our government actively suppresses attempts to promote justice, equity, and compassion. But again, these are aspirations and moral guides for us and how we behave. So we need to treat people, all people, with justice, equity, and compassion. Third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Now, this requires or asks us to accept our similarities and our differences. And I have to confess, I find myself sometimes not quite as accepting as I should be. So to explain, I come from the corporate world. I come from 30 or 40 years of corporate America where my tendency is we need to stop talking about this, we need to decide and move on. And whereas I think here we tend to be more of a consensus building. That's how we govern ourselves. So I've told people this before, I'll say it again, if I ever offer to serve on the board of trustees, please don't vote for me. But we have to accept each other. That does not mean that we have to acquiesce, to abandon our own values, but we can accept that we have differences. We don't have to adopt the beliefs of others, but we can treat the others and their beliefs with fairness and permission. And from that acceptance, we can encourage one another to explore our own spiritual path. So this is one of the things that surprised me about Unitarian Universalism, the encouragement to spiritual growth. So for me, I think the first time I really appreciated this principle was we were a small fellowship with maybe 125 members, but we always had an intern minister, so someone who was studying to become a minister. And I remember we had a woman, the ministry was going to be her second career. She was actually a microbiologist at the University of California at Berkeley. And she was a witch. And this just struck me as odd. I never imagined a church with a witch. But I thought, I need to understand this, or learn a little bit more about it, and how would it affect me, and what different. So that was a period of spiritual growth for myself as I studied, as she taught classes about paganism, and we had great Yule services and feasts, and I miss it. I don't think I'm going to join the Red Grail. I think they're a little more Wiccan than I am. But that was one of the things that really interested me about Unitarian Universalism, was the ability or the opportunity to learn about different religions and different religious beliefs of people. Some of them are surprising. But I really remember that experience, that period of, to me it was religious, really a period of religious growth. Fourth principle, a free and responsible, get this, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Somehow, I don't think there's enough of that out there. And in fact, it seems to me that people who are attempting a free and responsible search for truth and meaning are being suppressed and repressed. When I think of this principle, the person that pops to my mind is Charles Darwin. Now, Darwin wrote his book, Origin of the Species, and it proposed evolution. But Darwin was afraid of the reaction of the people in England to evolution, because it challenged some of the basic myths of Christianity. So he, as I understand it, he put Origin of the Species on the shelf for several years, until he heard that someone else was just about ready to publish a paper on the same topic. And so he was, I think Darwin was he was a better politician than his competitor. And so he said, let's do a joint presentation of our papers. And the other person, oh gosh, what was his name? Wallace. Alfred Russel Wallace. Thank you. But so I think what he was trying to do was, he was free to study and describe evolution, but he was concerned about his responsibility towards his family and his friends. Would they be, We see it again today, people getting threats and all that sort of thing. And some people may feel that it's not responsible for them to speak up. And so I think that's something that we really have to think about is how do we speak up? When do we speak up? We shouldn't be afraid to speak up. I think there's a lot of fear out there right now, but we have to take some risks. We have to take some risks. Oh, and I have a note here, plug Long Strange Trip. So there's a series of DVDs put out by the UUA about the history of Unitarian Universalism. And it's 6 DVDs. And so I think sometime this fall, there's Jason giving me a thumbs up. I'm going to play the 6 DVDs, 6 nights, and we'll have a little discussion. And one of the 6 is specifically about the issue of evolution, because it was such a huge impact on 19th century thought and the conflict with traditional religion, specifically the creation myth of Christianity. So if you're interested, it's not about the Grateful Dead, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure who picked the title, but look for A Long Strange Trip. 5th principle, the right of conscience and the use of democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. First, I'd like to talk about right of conscience. And this is, when I think of that, what comes to my mind was a period 50 years ago, 50 plus years ago, when I trained with the War Resisters League to help young men like myself to decide how to live their principles in the face of a regime of a criminal, Richard Nixon. So I was a draft counselor. I counseled people who were deciding, do I want to be a conscientious objector? Do I want to go to prison? Do I want to go to Canada? And I think I feel that we're at a period now that's very similar to that Vietnam War period, where we had major conflicts, and there were risks, risks to be engaged. But I really want to encourage you to think of how you can be engaged. You don't have to take high risks. You may just, have to counsel someone, to help someone. So I'd like to encourage you to think of the right of conscience, and, who knows, 6 months from now, a year from now, we may be in a very, very difficult situation, and it may require different forms of non-compliance. And so that's something I'm thinking about. And the democratic process. Are we, someone, I can't remember who it was, someone had a conversation with me yesterday. They are convinced that we will not have elections in 2026. I don't even want to acknowledge that. I'm kind of thinking, no, it'll happen. It'll happen. It may be ugly. There may be difficulties, but I'm not giving up on elections yet. and again, when I think of the democratic process, I'm not just thinking about elections, but I'm thinking about civil liberties, the right to be free, to have freedom with due process. I mean, that's one of the things that I think has been frightening, is that it seems that due process has disappeared. I don't know. It's either disappeared or it's so slow that it's hard to notice sometimes. But I hope we have a chance. I hope that the legal system reasserts itself and protects our laws and our institutions. It's a toss-up at this point. Oh, and in less dramatic news, when I talk about the democratic process within our congregations, I'd like to encourage everyone to give each other a little grace in the next year. We're going to be going through a lot of transformations, transitions, changes. Things will feel unfamiliar, like the order of service. And so I'd ask you to allow some change around you, to participate, to consider alternatives sometimes. I think we get so dependent on routine that any changes feel very disruptive. I'd like you to realize that it will probably be okay. I've been through I think we've been through ministerial searches before. And I was the president of a congregation when we got the phone call, well, you said you liked these 3 candidates, none of them want to be your minister. So we may have a few cycles here. So please, if you're, give the folks on the search committee some room. That's a tough role. And so please, the democratic process, be good to each other, be good to the search committee specifically. They'll need your help and your patience. There will be things happening that you won't realize there's lots of moving parts in the background. Oh, this principle I think is, I want to, in the context of what's going on around us. The 6th principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Does that sound consistent with what's going on out there? When we talk about, for me, when I talk or think about world community, I think of humanity. That's my touchstone, I suppose. That I'm thinking of world community, humans, all humans. But it seems like our world is getting smaller. And it seems like America, the United States, is becoming more hostile towards the rest of the world. So it's interesting. I'll be interested to see if somebody rewrites these principles in the next 5 or 10 years, how they phrase world community. So this one just feels very difficult. I mean, again, this is an aspiration. It's a moral guide. It's not reality right now. So I think what we need to do is to behave as if this is something coming. A world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. If we behave with that as our guide, I think we will be happier and we will help the world. We may not reach a global world community of peace, liberty, and justice for all soon, but that's where we want to head. I think that's where we're going. Finally, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Now, I hadn't thought of this much, but I noticed I always thought of it as the interdependent web of life, but it's all existence is the way it's written. And that brought me to the thought, and I know John's very concerned about environmental issues, but it reminded me, it made me wonder or think about, do we owe respect for all existence? And that means animal, vegetable, or mineral. Or how, it's not just respect for our relationships with other humans, but it's also about our relationships with all existence, animate and non-animate. So, you know, I saw a photograph the other day about, I think it was, you know, the largest copper mine in the United States or something like that. And it was just this huge, ugly hole in the middle of green mountains. And disturbing the earth like that just felt to me really bad. And, you know, I know we all need copper and we all need oil and other resources, but I think we need to exploit the earth with a little bit more respect. And that's something I think, again, that we have to aspire to. It's not today, it's not happening tomorrow. It's something that we have to live every day in little ways. I mean, my wife and I, and I don't know how recycling generally works in Nebraska or Lincoln, but when we got to Lincoln, we thought, what? We have to pay someone to pick up our recycling materials. And I think out of 10 or 15 houses along our street, I think we're the only ones that recycle. But we lived in California for 25 years, so everybody recycles there. But I think that it's small, but we have to do the small things. That's part of what our responsibility is. And I think generally we have to try not to cause harm. And we have to recognize that our actions affect others. That's why sometimes I think, you know, people think about freedom. Some people think freedom is I get to do whatever I want, regardless of the consequences to other people. And that's what I think has gotten us into huge trouble. And at this point, hopefully, we'll figure our way out of it. But it won't be soon, it won't be quick, it won't be easy. We're going to have to put in the work and pay attention. So may it be. Now, I think we've been going back and forth on the order of service with, so do announcements come before the offering, and then back and forth and back and forth? I think we have an answer from one of our board members.
And I guess this could change again. We are going to take the offering now. Each week, we take up the collection to support the work of this church and our partners in the community. We do this because just as we all grow from our participation in this community, we all give back through our time, our talent, and our treasure. You can also give by texting UC Lincoln and the amount to 73256. That's UC Lincoln and the amount to 73256. The offering will now be gratefully received. And while we're doing that, thank you for joining us today. I'm Pam Wakeman. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. I want to offer a special welcome to those of you who are visiting for the first time, and I have a few announcements to share as we take up the collection. The first announcement is watch your mailbox the next few days. Members and friends have been mailed the Fall Program Guide, which is a special publication to illustrate the breadth of events in our building through the end of December. If you want more detailed information, continue to rely on the monthly newsletter and Friday e-blasts. Second announcement is save the date for the next wonderful Wednesday. We are having a parking lot party the third week of September on Wednesday the 17th. This is a free event open to the public. We will have live music, food trucks, balloon animals, face painting, lawn games, and more. And I also want to remind you that there will be a newcomer chat right after the service in the library today. If you'd like to stop by the tree in the gallery, we'll show you where to go. Thank you.
Now, if you would rise as you are able, we're going to have our closing hymn, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
And we are singing for our
If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another, that they may come true. If you have known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace. Shall we?